Okay, there we go. Welcome in. This is the Second Cut podcast. It is the round two recap for this week's PGA Championship. It is absolute chaos going on right now. Siwoo Kim just made an ace from what looks like 240 yards away. There are things that are happening. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
Gentlemen, fired up about this one. This is a crazy tournament right now. It's just going wild. The leaderboard shaping up. Can't wait to see how it plays out.
Mark Immelman is here. Good evening, Mark.
How's it? Rick, I'm sure you walked around the golf course, but I am here to report, if you haven't gone outside, that summer has arrived. We went from like otherworldly rains on Monday and Tuesday to summer arriving here with a vengeance. It is freaking steaming outside and humid as heck. And it's come on, and hopefully this warms up the leaderboard a bit too.
It is hot. It is warm. The big boy is running hot, and our big boy is running hot because look who is here, the biggest boy of them all. It is Patrick McDonald, Patty Ice. It's good to see you, my brother.
Mark, yeah, we definitely know summer is here since you didn't give us a ride to the golf course like you did yesterday. So we appreciate that. We got our steps in. We got our sweat in. Apparently that has been a topic of conversation for you and some others. So I'm excited for some other topics of conversation.
Well, I just want to know, inquiring minds need to know, did you go on a walk to buy your cute little microphone that you're using? Or this is a new addition to the repertoire?
No, it's actually my hands are just massive. This is a normal sized microphone.
a normal mic for a very normal dude. Patrick has had a very eventful day, but we only have access to Patrick and Mark for a little bit of time, so we have to jump right on into this, gentleman, and we're going to start with the round of the day. Max Homa, of all people, goes out and shoots a 7 under 64 that featured back-to-back twos on number 13 and number 14. I think honor goes to the Patrick. Max Homa needed this round, didn't he?
The Patricks. I like that.
Yeah.
Please call me that moving forward. Have you guys ever heard of a ballerina? A little tutu?
Oh, a little
on
tutu.
13 and 14.
I see what you're doing.
But I will say this about Max Homa. I don't know if what everything he has said his past couple of years have been true in relation to his swing and how close he is, but Max Homa believed it. And that's all that matters, right? And we saw it all come to fruition today. You look at the statistics, it's not Bryson DeChambeau, it's not Rory McIlroy, it's not some of these elite drivers who are leading off the tee. It's Max Homa. And you couple that with how comfortable he is on the greens that he's talked about, and you get around like today, that is awesome.
It's true, Mark. I mean, I don't know if we believed it, but he believed it. We had been hearing that he's been, hitting it well on the range. The swing is back. He just hasn't been able to get that into tournament competition yet. Well, he did that today, and he is flying up the leaderboard. He's currently inside the top 5.
Yeah, and when I was out on the course, we went and did 2 hours of relief for ESPN this morning. We were out there, and Max was going crazy. And I was talking with Craig, who you guys met, my on-course spotter, and I was like, it's amazing how Max Homa has gone through this before. He's been in the doldrums of his career, and he's navigated his way out of this. So he kind of knows what it takes, mentally, emotionally, and then certainly physically. And I'll never forget a quote he made to me on my podcast. And he said to me, my mind and my golf swing had become like all raveled up, like a pretzel. He used the term pretzel. And he said, my job was to unravel the whole thing and re-ravel it back together. And clearly that's been happening over the last few weeks. And then you add Quail Hollow, where he's won before, and his record here is really good. That year he won for his first event, his first PGA Tour win. He held off McIlroy and the like. So, coming back to a place where he's comfortable, clearly can read the greens, game's trending. I mean, this was a long time, not a long time coming, but it's been a while coming, and I'm happy for him. I'm keen to see now, though, what happens over the weekend when that precious spigot gets opened up a little bit.
A 9-shot difference, Greg. 73-64 over the first 2 rounds. Max Homa started on the second 9, started on 10, and went out in 30. What do you sense the staying power is for Max here?
It's fascinating. You know, when you make a change in your golf swing, you know, a lot of guys talk about this. It's one thing to do it at home. It's one thing to do it in practice rounds. Max talked about this after his round today, how he'll leave the golf course in practice and say it went great. But it's a different thing when you do it in competition. And it's an even different thing when you do it on the weekend in competition. And it's an even different thing to do it in the weekend in competition of a major championship. And that's what Max Homa will face tomorrow. The good news is major championships, in a very strange way, don't require perfection. You know, you have to hang around. And if you can be comfortable around the greens, that becomes a really big advantage. It's not quite as stressful when you miss a fairway and have to play a bump and run from the rough up to the front edge of the green when you have confidence you can get it up and down. I think that frees you up on the tee, knowing that, hey, if I'm not perfect here, I can still make par. And when I get on a hole like number 14, I can just hit it right at the flag and make an eagle. There are opportunities on this golf course on holes that aren't overly difficult. By the way, Patrick, you mentioned, love having you here, by the way. You mentioned how he's leading strokes gained off the tee. He gained 1.77 strokes on just that tee shot on 14. Still, other than that, drove it beautifully, look, that kind of thing on this golf course goes a long way. We know that.
I want to let everyone know we are keeping a close eye on what's going on the golf course right now. That super group of Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, and Xander Schauffele, they are approaching the Green Mile. ESPN is running their little animated bit about how scary this stretch of golf is. So you know it is coming in hot here. So we're going to get you the guys who have already finished first, and we're going to go to Bryson DeChambeau. This was a 3 under 68. Even par in the opening round. And Greg, when I look at this, I think about the last 5 major championships for Bryson, where he has been in the mix late in all but one of them. If I remember correctly, he has just dominated at major championships.
And he's still very much in the mix. You know, when he got done with this round today, he thought he was 7 shots back. And he was a little frustrated because he felt like he left some shots out there on the golf course. And so he found himself 7 shots back. Well, now all of a sudden he's only 5 shots back. And that's a totally different animal. If you look at live odds right now, he's still the second favorite, which speaks to a couple different things. But I thought Bryson was really good with his irons today. I know if you look at the strokes gained numbers, he was 73rd, and it's not overly impressive, but he had a number of really high quality iron shots. And he drove the ball really well too. I mean, you think about some of these holes that he turns into birdie opportunities that aren't for the rest of the field. Like number 1's a great example. He gave himself nothing in. And I could see this being a huge advantage for him over the weekend as this tournament kind of takes shape. But the one thing that I'll say that he needs to clean up is these holes like 14 and 15. He didn't get either of those. He doesn't get number 7 today. Didn't get number 7 or 8 yesterday. So those really scoreable holes for everybody in the field, that's an opportunity for Bryson to clean up. And if he can do that, he will make a serious move on this leaderboard.
I want to get this to Patrick here because Greg was mentioning the missed opportunities, and we were with this group as they were going through that stretch that Greg just alluded to, not being able to take advantage of 14 or 15. Is that a good sign, a bad sign, or doesn't matter for Bryson?
It's a great sign. He should probably be 8 under.
Okay.
Right? He probably could have shot 65 today, and he didn't. And I agree with Greg. When we were walking along with him, the iron play was very impressive, at least on that back 9, his first 9. And he gave him a chance on 13 that he didn't cash in. He gave him a chance on 15 that he almost 4-putted, honestly, but 3-putted for par. The one on 16 was great. 18 was a good one, just a little too much spin. that pin was pretty difficult for a lot of guys. And then we left them because we had to go. But if I'm DeChambeau, and like Greg mentioned, with the driver, how high that floor is going to be. If the iron play is like it was for those holes that we saw, watch out. He might raise that one and make a trophy.
The other interesting thing, Mark, is that and Patrick has, I think, really done a good job of analyzing Bryson this week. Is he's still missed a lot of fairways, but the fairways that he has hit has given him a ton of advantage and separation from the rest of the field. I mean, we're watching the super group play 16 right now. Bryson has hit some unbelievable bombs on that hole that has made it a much easier shot in compared to what the rest of the field has to battle.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he sort of adopted the Rory McIlroy approach to playing Quail Hollow, which is just bludgeon it off the tee and take a bunker down 16, which is 325, 330 over the top of it, and whip it over that and then get some sort of scoring club in there. But still, the thing that strikes me, and I'm interested at your guys' take, where, the bit I've seen, because we're on the golf course and then I'm listening to our show and I have a monitor, so I see some of the footage, is that, yeah, I understand that he's hitting some quality shots. But I think the really good news, if you're Bryson DeChambeau, and if you're a Bryson DeChambeau fan, is that he's got an element of grind about him right now too. He certainly did it in round one. He sort of he cobbled together a round. And today, yeah, there were bright spots. And yes, he left some stuff out there. But he made a number of putts in that 5-6 foot range just to keep this round alive. And look, I know Scotty is climbing up the leaderboard despite his best stuff right now. But I'm of the opinion, honestly, and yeah, you can mark the time on this, folks and fans. You got to stay in front of DeChambeau if you want to win this tournament, as far as I'm concerned.
He was able to bounce back on 16 again today, and after making birdie there, I do think that settled him down quite a bit. But he's giving everything the full attention, the full treatment, as you would expect from Bryson DeChambeau. He's likely to be about 5 shots off the lead heading into the weekend. Obviously, still some things to be settled, but maybe not the top of that leaderboard. And speaking of which, the top of the leaderboard belongs to none other than Johnny Vegas. He follows up his opening round 64 with a second round 70. And Mark, we're going to go to you first here because he got this to double digits under par before he made a double on 18 to post at 8 under.
Yeah, it was first quickly. I wanted to say on Bryson, there's a passion there too that you're not seeing out of the other folks. I mean, there's fist pumping for 5-foot par saves and stuff, so you can sense the desire he has. And while I use that term desire for Bryson, you get the same thing with Johnny Vegas. And I don't want to say I saw this coming because I'm not Nostradamus, but a couple of weeks ago in Dallas, I had him. I think it might have been the final round in my group, and he was typically Johnny. Always a smile on the face, hits it flush all the time. And he looked like his game was really trending and he was putting beautifully. And today, despite the double, I think he looked lethargic coming in. He really did with the late mistake there, the trip up. But he hit the ball fine. I felt like he's rolling the ball well. And this guy, despite the horrid record in major championships, I almost, and I said this to a colleague, I can't recall who it was. I'm somewhat surprised he doesn't contend more, because when you watch him play, just the pure mechanics of it, the way he hits the golf ball, the attitude, where you have Bryson who's kind of like bit between the teeth, fist pumping stuff. Johnny Vegas is like, this comes easy to me. I'm just going to play golf and smile a little bit and really be thankful for the fact that I've moved my family out of Venezuela and I get to play golf for a living. So there's that laissez-faire kind of like, I'm cool with whatever happens thing. But I sense a little bit of desire in the man right now. And what a great start to the tournament. I think even with the 6 on the last hole, that double, unforced because he was green side with a bad approach shot, he's probably going, man, this is a great spot to be in. I can sort of freewheel a little bit throughout the weekend.
I'm interested to see what he does in round number 3. Because he played his first 36 holes, Patrick, in like a 12-hour period. Maybe not that condensed, but he went very late on Thursday to very early on Friday. Now he is going to have to sit on this lead for a long time. It's not going to be until a late afternoon Saturday tee time. That's when things are going to get real.
he actually woke up grumpy this morning. He was not happy with the quick turnaround. He said he had about 3 hours of sleep. He was groggy, didn't feel great. We saw the lefts early and then kind of eased into his round. So, Mark, that conversation with the colleague was actually with me. And it was one I really treasured. I've been telling my friends and family about it. And this is kind of tough to hear right now. But I totally agree with you. And he does too. He says his game is great for this stage with how he hits it and how his putter can occasionally flash. He's a 4-time winner on the PGA Tour, obviously. And to not even have a top 20 finish is honestly kind of shocking. He hits it so far, and he hits his iron so good. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of time between now and Saturday afternoon. But if he continues to hit it like this, I mean, he missed chances on 11. He missed a chance on 12. He missed a 12, another one on 15, and then obviously the double bogey. 8 under is probably the highest he could have shot with how he hit his irons.
Hey, Patrick, I was confusing you with Jim Nance, and I just didn't want to drop names so much, so do forgive me.
Thank you very much.
I've heard that happens quite a bit. Now, Greg, I want to give you a crack here at Johnny Vegas. He is leading the field in tee to green play. He's picked up over 4 shots there, and then he's inside the top 10 inside the top 20 with the putter. That's how he gets to the top of the board. I don't have any concerns about the ball striking or even really the tee to green game over the last 36. I do wonder if the putter holds up in pressure situations.
Well, it's not going to perform the way it did in round 1. That was just a sensational performance. Just 24 putts. He made 124 feet of putts and was 4th in the field yesterday in strokes gained putting. Today, it lost 3/4 of a shot on the greens. So I think that's manageable. The way that he strikes it, it could keep him in it. I don't think he needs a red hot putter to hold on. It's like what he did in round 1. You kind of put that in the bank and you hang on with the putter. You keep giving yourself opportunities like he did today, and hopefully you catch up on a little bit of sleep, because in this second round, he missed his first 4 greens. He was able to hit, 12 of the next 14, which was really impressive to Patrick's point about his iron play. Now, he did have one really rather fortunate break off of a rake. I don't mean to rhyme. It just happens some of the time. That was one of the best breaks that I've ever seen. Interesting that the last 2 iron swings of the day were out to the right. I wonder if that was the water on the left or the fatigue. My instinct is that's a fatigue thing. So hopefully he gets a little bit of rest, comes out with a better attitude this tomorrow afternoon, and perhaps he can handle some what I believe will be much more difficult conditions.
Hey, Rick.
He's not so grumpy. Go ahead, Mark.
Speaking of grumpy, before I blow a gasket, can I just answer one question real fast in the chat over here?
Sure.
It's asked, who do you guys think the real leader is after? Greg, would you like to answer that one for me, please?
Scotty Scheffler.
No, Johnny Vegas.
I wanted you to blow a gasket, Mark. That was a setup.
The guy on the top of the leaderboard is the leader. And just so you know the background on this, folks. Back in 2008, my younger brother was the first round leader, the second round leader, and the third round leader at the Masters. And a colleague from the Golf Channel, who happens to be on live from every time there's a big event, came up with his graphic saying, this is the real leaderboard. And my brother was removed from this. And so he had like Tiger and a few other folks, and Trevor was not added to the real leaderboard. Well, Brandel, it didn't work out that way.
Well, Brandel,
and I
love that.
Get his ass.
And I happened to call him out on that at a function sometime thereafter. So, Chris, the real leaderboard has Vegas at the top. And then the real leaderboard will have whoever else it is. And I think it's probably Vegas at the top of it after tomorrow. And then we'll see what happens Sunday.
I love that story. This is a really good spot for me to get Mark and Patrick out of here. But before I do that, I don't know if you guys have noticed, Patrick was a little, subdued. He's usually a little high energy guy, maybe a little bit subdued. Patrick, you've had a very rough day. You had a moment out there while we were walking with the Bryson group that really caught you off guard, and I think has shaken you to your core.
Yeah, I've been neutered a little bit. So we're on the top of the hill on 16, and I hear, "Oh my God, is that Patrick?"
Yep.
I'm like, all right, who could this be? I know a number of people in Charlotte, North Carolina, probably too many people in this town. And it's an old flame. And it's not only an old flame, it is her mother, her father, and her new boyfriend.
The new boyfriend who looked surprisingly like Patrick, but maybe a little taller, maybe a little more fit.
Oh my gosh, you guys. No, it's just like a generic white guy with brunette hair. It's 90% of this place.
So just to be clear, Patrick ran into his ex-girlfriend that he has not seen
not an ex.
in 6 years for the first time on the golf course. And, Greg, when you think about that, you're caught off guard. Listen, it's an unenviable position. You get caught off guard. You're thrown into something. How would you go about having this conversation? And, the new boyfriend's there, mom and dad are there. What do you say to, just get through this as quickly as possible?
Well, you got a couple of options. One is you could say, no, you could just deny it and walk away. All right. That's always an option. You could run at full speed. That I know it's allowed here. Hopefully that never happens at the Masters. Another thing you could do is say, do you come here often?
Well, it's humid out today, isn't it?
Oh man, Greg, I really could have used you because I didn't use any of those options. We talk. I ask them how they're doing. Hope they're enjoying the golf. I'm trying to get out of this conversation. The only thing that's in my mind is that Bryson DeChambeau 3-putted for par in the last hole. And I go, yeah, I got to rock. The big boy's running hot.
The big boy's running hot. So after 6 years,
not a bad line.
Not. Oh, I hope you guys have a great day. It's a great running into you here. He just went and said, "Big boy's running hot," and then he got out of there.
So you didn't mention any strokes gain data? That's another option.
I don't even think they knew it was in relation to Bryson. I think she thought I was calling myself the big boy.
Yeah, she's a big boy's got to run, or big boy's running hot.
Hey, Patrick, two quick observations. Did he have a quaff like yours, first off? I doubt it.
No, not as voluminous.
Not voluminous, no. And then what you should have done is you should have held up your lanyard and said, "Excuse me, I've got to go inside the ropes to go and record a television hit. So I'll see you later, big boy. I'm out."
Yeah, it's one of those things where you run the situation through your head so many times where the line is easy. Would you rather live on that side or this side?
You're watching golf. You want to watch golf from outside the ropes or inside the ropes? Yeah, so that shook up Patrick for a little bit, but he settled down. He bounced back. He had a good rest of the day.
Yeah, like Scotty Scheffler. Bounce back ability is my best ability.
Yeah. Okay, Rick, before we let us go,
yes.
Been asked, Patrick is greater than the other dude, by the way, Rich. There's been a request for Patrick and I to comment on the mud balls thing. So I'm kind of wound up a little bit right now either. So Patrick, have a go, and then I'll cap it at the end of it all.
Yeah, honestly, I'm over it.
You're over it?
It happened on Thursday. Players bemoaned it. Some media members bemoaned it. I'm over it. It happened. Guys are going to have to deal with it. Whoever deals with it the best is probably going to play the best.
Preach, brother. Yeah. Here's where I sit. And I'll start this with: I am not an advocate for playing divot holes as ground under repair. If you hit the ball in a divot, it's called rub of the green. It's been like that since old Tom Morris was playing back in the St. Andrews way back in the day. And so, well, yeah,
that was too easy.
And so, as far as mud balls go, I feel like it's a skill to play a mud ball correctly. You got to understand the aerodynamics of it. You've got to understand that when there's mud on the side of the golf ball, the harder you hit it, the more you open yourself up to a golf ball going haywire on you. And so in a situation like what Xander and Scotty were caught in on 16, where you're coming in there from about 8 yards above the target, so the ball's in the air for longer, then there's a crosswind off the right-hand side, and you've got mud on the right side of the golf ball, and then there's a backhole location with a green that sounds like this when a ball lands on it. Going in there with a full bore 5-iron is ignorance. I mean, there's only things that could go wrong. So then in a situation like that, you get the ball back in your stance, you hit the same 5-iron, but just lower, and you try and scrub some of the mud off it if you do miss the targets. So it's a skill to play it well. Is it cool to get a mud ball? No, man, it sucks. I'll tell you, as a former player and a guy who's worked with elite players, but it is what it is. And to Scotty, he dealt with it. He bounced right back from the indiscretion. And I can see why they're frustrated. But the reality is, it's how the game works. And when you get that sort of stuff, the harder you hit the ball, the more likely you open yourself up to mayhem. And I know they work on controlling the golf ball, but the reality is you never really have complete control anyway, because wind is variable. So hit the smart shot when you got a mud ball going on in whatever fairway you are.
Reverend Immelman at it again. All right, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Mark, thank you for popping on. We will see you later tonight. Patrick, thank you very much for hopping on. And I'm going to get goodbye. I'm going to get you both out of here. And Greg and I are going to take it the rest of the way. Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you much. I'll take your mic back. Thank you, brother.
Patrick's just been lurking around the leaderboard. He's been lurking around the Second Cut podcast like Scotty lurking on the leaderboard.
I agree. He lurks and he's a couple strokes back and he keeps his eye on everybody and then he finds time to hop on the pod.
Now he's in.
And now, that's right. I mean, that's why he's the GOAT. That's why he's the number one podder in the world, because he does stuff like that. And he's always around.
Always there.
All right, Gregors. We got some work to do here. And there are superstars that are finishing up their round right now. So to get everybody up to date with where we are at, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele are in the Green Mile. They have all just made par on 16, and they are going to 17. The issue here, Greg, and we can circle back at the end of the show and see where this finishes up, but Xander Schauffele is right on the number. He is 1 over par right now for the tournament. He is even par for the round. He has made 2 birdies in his last 4 holes, but now he is playing 2 of the toughest holes on the golf course, and there is no margin of error right now.
No, and this cut line is really looking pretty solid at 1 over. It's tied. It's 70 in ties. Right now there are 74 players at 1 over or better. So you'd need 6 players to drop a shot. Michael Kim, Chris Kirk, Xander Schauffele, Max Grazerman are on 15, 16, or 17. So, that's not enough. So you need one of these guys at even par, which would be Steven Jaeger, Rasmus Højgaard, Thorbjorn Olesen, or Maverick McNeely to drop 2 shots to make this cut go to 2 under. So that's very unlikely. So Xander's going to have to play these last 2 holes in even or better without question. We talked last night about a top 10 play on Xander, and after this round today, that's not looking so good. A birdie or 2 will go a long way, but it's not looking so good right now.
Yeah, birdie or 2 will go a long way. And you can see the card is, he started on 1, so he was multiple shots over par. He turned in 2 over. He has played much better since then. But I think what I'll do is I'm going to try to hold out as long as I can on updating this super group so that we have a conclusion. But I can tell you that Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy are playing much better. We'll circle back on them in just a few minutes. Greg, not playing much better and definitely not going to be around for the weekend is Justin Thomas. He is probably home by now because he went out early this morning and he shot a round of 72, following up his round of 73, and he has missed the cut at 3 over par. This has become a trend for Justin Thomas at major championships.
Yes, and it's this. There's so much fight in him, which shows that he cares. But at the same time, I wonder if there's too much, if he puts too much pressure on himself in the opening rounds. And that's my concern with Justin Thomas right now. And quite frankly, I think that's why his major championship record isn't what Xander Schauffele's is, isn't what Scotty Scheffler's is, even though he has 2 majors. And all of those players I mentioned have 2 majors. Justin Thomas isn't as consistent a performer. Puts himself in a lot of trouble off the tee. He leaves himself in some very difficult spots, and he pulls off great shots. He hit great shots today, but there's just it's too stressful. It never looks comfortable. It never looks like he's cruising along. It always looks really hard when Justin Thomas gets in majors. I mean, why do you think that is, Rick?
I don't know. Part of me thinks that his game should translate well to major championships because he's got such a great short game. He hits his iron so well, but I think the longest and the shortest club in his bag at major championships tend to can get him exposed, right? When he starts spraying it off the tee and getting into some of the thicker, nastier, more penal rough, and then, yes, he can get it up, but it's hard for him to get it down as well, which is the putter. So I just think that those two things give him so many issues, and they get in the same way that his approach play and his around the green play get magnified in a good way, like they get emphasized at a major. The other two aspects of his game start to show his struggles, and I think that's really been the key. If you look at his major championship stuff, Greg, since his win at Southern Hills, 37th, 53rd, cut, 65th, cut, T8. That's by far his best result since the win. That was last year at the PGA Championship at Valhalla. Miscut, 31st, 36th, missed cut is what it's going to end up being.
And like in his career, it's not that, it's 8 top 10s in 37 events. You know, that's for a guy with 2 majors and all the wins that he has on the PGA Tour, that's not enough. You know, he doesn't quite give himself enough chances. I think what the point you bring up about the putter is a really strong one, because when you watch Bryson DeChambeau, who's known to be a really long driver of the ball, and he is, sometimes he puts himself in trouble off the tee. He makes so many of those 6, 8, 10 footers for par, those big momentum changing, momentum saving, momentum gaining, you know, the big major championship type putts Bryson makes, and he makes them all the time. Even Scotty makes a lot of those putts like he has today. So I think you're right on the money. There's just there's one too many holes in his game, and they get shown in majors.
Yeah, I think that's where I currently stand with this. If you're watching on YouTube, we are potting through right now. This is our way to not do commercials, but to support our Patreon, supporting us. So that list of patrons on Patreon have gotten a lot longer. Much appreciated for the support. We've been giving away some good stuff. I went to the merch tent yesterday. If you missed it, go back and watch yesterday's preview. I showed the items that I got there, but we are rolling now, Greg. This has been by far our biggest week. We knew that was going to happen, but it is crazy what kind of numbers we're getting. And I don't care about the numbers, but it is a nice sign to see the way that we've gotten off to in just a handful of weeks.
Well, look, it's a really cool thing that we get to talk about. It's something I know you take very seriously. I take it very seriously. We work very hard at it. And when you see this kind of support and you see how many people there are that enjoy this kind of content, it's great, because ultimately it means that you love the game of golf. So we're glad we get to watch it with you and interact with you. And we love all the comments on Twitter here. You guys in the comments are incredible every single episode. So thank you so much for all the support.
Yeah, if you've gotten to this part of this episode on this show in this journey, you love golf as much as we do. That's really what it comes down to. Colin Morawa followed up his opening round 70 with a 72 today. That included another double on 18. So he has now made double bogey on 18 in each of the first 2 rounds. That hole is just destroying people. But Greg, I want to point out the fact that he has made 11 birdies this week, and he is even par, and currently in a tie for 52nd. Matthew Pavone, who is in second and 2 shots off the lead, has made 9 birdies this week. So Morikawa has had no problem putting circles on the scorecard at a rate that would put him at the top of the board. He has unfortunately put squares on the scorecard just as quickly.
And, you know, it's funny, the iron play for Colin Morawa has not been up to his standard. And the result is it puts a lot of pressure on his short game. He's hitting enough fairways, but his iron play has just been behind. And you mentioned all the birdies. He's made 4 birdies on 7 and 8. Okay, those are some of the easier holes on the golf course. He made birdies at 14 and 15 yesterday. He's made birdie at 10 and 11. 10 both days. So you got 4 from 7 and 8, 2 from 10, that's 6. And then you got 14 and 15, 2 more, that's 8. 8 of the 11 birdies come on those scoring holes. Now, the challenge in the majors is what happens on the challenging holes. And he's made far too many bogeys on those really difficult holes. This is a great model for Johnny Vegas to follow heading into the weekend. You just, when you can get the ball around the green, when you can get a wedge in your hand, go make a birdie. Morikawa has done that. I think he's struggled with his traditional, typical iron play, which has cost him in this championship.
I want to point out how difficult 18 has been today, Greg. So this is just the round 2 stats. It's playing to a 4.55. So that is more than a half a shot over par. It is by far the most difficult hole on the course. They're not done playing the Green Mile yet, and there have been 22 doubles or worse, not 22 bogeys or worse. There's been 38 bogeys. There have been 22 doubles or worse. The other, that was Terrell Hatton's 7, a triple that he made this morning,
which was just brutal, just a killer. And you wouldn't think that a little tiny creek that you could take one step across would attract so many golf balls. But the challenge to it is it's not just where the water is, right? If you miss it in the left rough at all, you may not end up in the water, and you may end up with a terrible lie, whether you're on the left side of it or the right side of it. The other thing is the fairway sits at this angle. It reminds me a lot of 18 at TPC Sawgrass. If you play away from the creek, your angle is just reduced to nothing. Now you're in long rough, and you got to start it at the water again. Like Morikawa laid up in the water yesterday, hit his tee shot in the water today. That's because in round 1, he hits it into the trees on the right and has to lay up towards the water and makes the cardinal sin, like we talked about yesterday. Today, he doesn't want to. That's no longer a viable bailout. So now we challenge the water. It ends up going in there. Now you got a difficult hole location to deal with, and you make a double. And that is not just a Morikawa problem. That's a problem for everybody in the field. There is no strategy that's going to help you on 18. You got to step up and hit it. You got to step up and hit a tee shot there.
Yeah, you got to hit like 2 strong shots, and then don't take a breath, because you can still 3-jack that green. Morikawa is even par. He's in a tie for 52nd. He's absolutely safe into the weekend, but definitely some work to do to improve on that position. We are getting rounds completing as we speak, and I want to point out one of the better performances that we've seen through the first 36 here, Greg, and this was another one that was probably a little bit out of the blue. Matt Fitzpatrick just finished up his second round by making 6 pars in a row and played his final 10 holes at 2 under without making a bogey. So he played all 3 of the Green Mile holes in even par. He made Scotty Scheffler just missed a very short putt for birdie on 17. He now has longer, and it shook me a little bit. But Fitzy finished with 6 pars in a row, including pars on each of the Green Mile holes. This is out of the blue. Fitzpatrick has not had a good run the last year or so. The victory that he had at Brookline in 2022 was, I don't want to say it was a turning point, but I think we were expecting a lot from him after that. And this is really the first time we've seen him in a big spot in recent memory.
He's struggled with the driver. He's struggled with his iron play. It's been really bad. I mean, I think at the Zurich Classic, we said that he was the weaker player in his pairing. Like Alex was the better player. Yeah. Sorry, I just saw Scott. I must be behind you because I just saw Scotty flip out too.
I'm sorry. We're getting the real time world feed, so I apologize. I did not see that coming. I did not mean to spoil that for everyone.
No. It's just that was shocking, and Scotty was shocked too.
It was covered his mouth. It was a big reaction. Yeah,
hard lip out. So that's killer. But look what Matt Fitzpatrick's done with this iron play. I mean, he was 30th, gained a shot and a half yesterday, gained 2.5 shots today. He was so strong in that like 125 to 175 yard range. He hit so many high quality shots, even if they didn't lead to birdies. They led to a lot of birdie opportunities. And he had a tough go of it at number 15, had a really long birdie putt there. And so he left some on the table and just played beautiful golf. And now you have a major champion sitting up here in a pretty good spot with a lot of guys who aren't major champions on this leaderboard.
All right, let's focus here on this super group. We mentioned Xander Schauffele. He is going to need a par or better on the 18th. He did get through 17 with a par. Let's go to Scottie Scheffler, just because I spoiled the missed birdie putt on 17 where he just stuffed it, Greg. It was just a couple of feet. 4 feet, 3 feet. That was ugly.
Well, it's disappointing. I thought he hit a pretty good putt. And he thought he hit a pretty good putt too. It should break that way. Clearly just a little too much steam on it. And he misses. But look, this has not been Scottie's best round. He has struggled to find fairways. He's only hit 5 fairways during this round. Sorry, I just saw Rory McIlroy make as well.
My head is exploding over here.
This super group is incredible. But Scottie this has been an extremely professional round, and he very easily could be at 7 under, even playing this poorly. You think about that miss there at 17, he missed a very makeable putt. I think it was 5 feet 8 inches at number 10. And so a couple of missed opportunities, hit a terrible, a really uncharacteristic wide iron shot at 13. That's unlike him. He has not really found his shot shape off the tee. A lot of these tee shots have been, 14, he hit a great tee shot. 16, he hit a great tee shot, but a lot of these tee shots have been starting left and staying left. And he's only found 5 fairways, but he's managed his way around. And all of his misses, once he's missed a fairway, if he missed the green, it's been to the wide side. And he's given himself, much lower stress par saves than, say, Justin Thomas, who we talked about earlier.
Well, the official length of that putt that he missed on 17 was 3 feet 11 inches. Despite all of those negative things that we just said about Scottie Scheffler, where he hasn't had his best stuff, he just missed a short putt. He had another makeable putt earlier. He had par 2 of the par 5s, just missed opportunities here, missed opportunities there. He's 3 under for the round, and he is 5 under for the tournament, which means he's inside the top 10, and he is only 3 shots off the lead, and he is only 1 shot out.
Rick, I just lost your mic. I don't think you went muted. I don't know if it ran out of battery. But as Rick was saying, I'll let Rick get another mic. But yes, Scottie Scheffler still is 3 under with 1 hole to go.
Is this any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh,
You're back.
Good job. Yeah, I think I just ran out of battery there. Good job.
Okay.
Keep me in the loop if that happens again. But yeah, he's going to be involved in the championship, Greg. He's as poorly as he's playing, he's 1 shot off second place and 3 off the lead. He's
3 shots back of Johnny Vegas, whose best finish in a major is a tie for 22nd. Matthew Pavone, who's at 6 under, has played 1 season on the PGA Tour and has 1 win on the PGA Tour. Matt Fitzpatrick, who's a major champion. Scottie Scheffler was in the mix in 2022 at Brookline. Siwoo Kim, who's gotten it to 6 under. Max Homa, who's at 5 under. He's tied with. To think that Scottie Scheffler can make up 3 shots on all of those players over 2 rounds, yeah. He can't. He's going to be involved again. Now, the big shock was Rory McIlroy's opening round, Greg. It was ugly. It was 3 over par
He has turned the tide. He has gotten all of those back. Now, I will note it has been a little tumultuous as of late. He started on 1 and was 4 under through his first 10 holes. He bogeyed 11 and 12 before getting both of those back at 14 and 15. And then as we were just on, and so shockingly, he missed a pretty short putt for par on 17. So he gives one back there. He is even for the tournament, playing the 18th hole right now. It is obviously not the position that he wants to be going in to the weekend, but it's a big improvement over what we saw yesterday.
It is a big improvement. And, you still got to step up and hit a shot here so you can make this cut. But that being said, a really nice comeback from Rory. A couple of sloppy mistakes at 11 and 12. 3-putt at, was it 3-putt at 11 or 12? I think it was at 11. It was technically not a 3-putt. He was just off the green, but he putted and left himself 7 feet and missed it and was really disappointed. And then at 12, he hit a tee shot I thought was pretty good into a bad position, and he was above the hole, tough hole location, ends up making another bogey. Did he just do what I
Yeah, so it's up. It is up, but he is not going to have a stance. So, okay, there's a lot happening right now. We'll just kind of do a live watch along here. Rory McIlroy just teed off on 18. It was well left. It looked like it was in the creek. It is hanging up on the side. His stance is going to be incredibly impeded. I do not know if he's going to have a stance. It is dry. The other thing to consider, there's now 2 things. I just saw some breaking news come across, but number 1, Greg, if he makes double on this hole, which as we've talked about has happened nearly 30 times today, he's not going to be around for the weekend. And that is in play right now. The other thing, and I just saw this from Jason Sobel. I don't know if he was the first one to report that, but this is where I saw it. It says, as just reported on Sirius PGA Tour Radio, Rory McIlroy's gamer driver was deemed non-conforming by the USGA on Tuesday. He switched drivers prior to yesterday's opening round. So that might speak to a lot of the driving troubles that he has had this week because he's not using his gamer. This probably has a different feel for him.
6 fairways, 6 of 14 fairways today, 4 of 14 fairways yesterday. The best driver of the golf ball in the world, especially at Quail Hollow. I would say, Rick, that plays a role. That is a factor. It's not as simple as, I have a GT2 driver and it breaks and I get another GT2 driver. Right at this level, these are so dialed in. It is, quite frankly, it's incredible. And they'll work with the same model, the same line, and test out an absurd number of heads and shaft combinations. It's a really challenging thing to find one that works.
There are feels and kick points, and the more you use a club, the it feels a little bit different. The likely, and Greg, correct me if I'm wrong here, not like a super equipment nerd or anything, but the likely scenario in which a driver is deemed non-conforming is not because it is like a model that has not been approved before, but they will test basically how hot the face is. And the more a driver gets used, the more that wall kind of breaks down and it gets kind of hotter as it goes. Now it'll eventually break. You'll break the face eventually via using it, but it's almost like breaking in like a catcher's mitt or something like that. Like you have to get reps on it before it starts to work perfectly as you'd want, but there's a line that it crosses, and that seems like probably what happened here.
It's called characteristic time. So if you see something like a CT test, that's not a scan. It's not a scan of your body. They're measuring exactly what you said, how hot the face is. So characteristic time, and it's basically something that just bounces on the face, and you measure. There's a measurement that they go through. The more you hit with the driver, the thinner the face gets, and as a result, it gets a little hotter. This happened to Xander Schauffele playing in this group at the Open Championship just a couple of years ago when they started testing on site. That is definitely a factor. And we've seen Rory struggle. I liked what he did today. I thought he drove it better in this round. Aside this one, obviously unfortunate. He hit a couple of shaky ones, like the one at 12 as well. But he went to more low cut. He had a lot of really nice cut tee shots that were beautiful. He seems to be really struggling when he's trying to hit a draw. And I didn't see the swing he made on 18, but because that's left, if it's anything like what he's done for the previous 35 holes, that left miss comes when he's trying to hit a draw off the tee.
All right, I'll just give you the play-by-play here if you don't mind. So Scotty Scheffler from the middle of the fairway just hit it onto the front edge of the green. He's probably about 30 feet away. Rory McIlroy has a stance. The ball is nearly knee-high. It's about shin-high. His heels are very close to the creek. He is looking out to the right. This is his approach onto 18. A bogey or better gets him into the weekend. If he makes a double, he's going home. That was pretty solid contact, but I don't think he's trying to force the issue too much here. He's not. Okay, so he missed it. He is out to the right of the green, in between the two bunkers. It is safe. It is dry. And Greg, that looks like he could get chip it on and two putt from there and still make the weekend. So it looks like Rory McIlroy has gotten a fortuitous bounce on the 18th there to stay out of the creek, and it's likely going to keep him around for the weekend.
Yeah, and that's at least, I mean, how many times is that this week, Rick? There were at least 4 of those yesterday. We had 15, 16, 17, and 18 where it nearly went in the water, and then this one. So that's 5, and that's the difference between making a cut and missing a cut. I'll tell you, this was a really risky shot, because what does the ball want to do when especially in the rough, when it's above your feet that much? And that was knee high. It's so easy to catch that a little heavy, have the get a little grass wrapped around the hosel, turn that over, and it goes right into the creek. So that was extremely fortunate and a well played shot, and very smart and wise to get it that far out to the right.
Xander Schauffele has hit his approach to about 20 feet, maybe 18 feet behind the hole. He's going to have 2 putts there to make the weekend. So they've got a few minutes left here, Greg. But as of right now, against maybe all odds from a couple minutes ago, it looks like the entirety of the super group is going to be around for the weekend.
Yes, that was, what do they say, touch and go for a while.
Wow,
especially with Xander. That was a really well played hole. I know he's not done yet. He's got to get that down in 2, but he could make that. He could make birdie there. So we like the action on Xander top 10. Right now, top 10 is 4 under or better. He's only 5 off of that mark. I wonder if that number has gotten 5-1. It was 3-1 yesterday. You could get it at maybe 3.5-1. Now 5-1 for a Xander top 10. That's probably a little shorter than what I felt yesterday. It just went to plus 450. So
I just saw it change. Yeah. I just saw it change as well.
So I think there's still a strong possibility that happens as this toughens up a little bit. But it's good to have these guys a part of the weekend.
Yeah, so we'll let these guys finish up over the next couple of minutes here. But Greg, if there's anything else that happened today, we can chat about it. But just to kind of show what's going on into the weekend, our friends in Las Vegas have now got Scotty Scheffler at a 2-1 favorite to win the 107th PGA Championship. Then Bryson DeChambeau at this moment is the only other golfer in single digits. Last night he was 14-1, if you remember that, Greg. Now he is down to 9-1. Matt Fitzpatrick and Johnny Vegas are both 11-1, and Siwoo Kim is 12-1. Nobody else shorter than 22-1 right now. So that's where our friends in the desert think this thing is headed.
These guys out there, man, they're these guys are sharp, because that's right where that's right where I'd be looking. I mean, look at this weather tomorrow. First of all, you've been out there, Rick. Report on the ground. There has been hardly any wind over these first 2 days.
No, it is honestly, we are dying out there because it is so hot and there is no wind. We are begging for the wind. There was not a breath of air out there today.
So that is not ideal for you walking around. It's not great for ex-girlfriends or other fans that are walking around,
or new boyfriends,
new boyfriends. Not great for them. Great for the concession stands. A lot of water being used. A lot of inventory getting shuffled through there. But this is what the wind looks like over the weekend, and then this is going to change the tournament. You're looking at 11 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. This according to Wind Finder. We're looking at 7 mile an hour sustained. Not much movement, but 18 mile an hour gusts. Then 3 hours later, the 2 o'clock window, 13 mile an hour sustained. That's meaningful. 21 mile an hour gusts. Getting tricky. And that stays pretty much through to the end of play. So wind gusting above 20 miles an hour, even sustained winds at 13 miles an hour. That makes this golf course play a whole lot different. And you look at this round. Well, let's look at the cumulative scoring average. So a shot and a half over par. That's still a very difficult golf course.
Yes.
8 under leading, difficult golf course with no wind. Wind comes in, changes everything. And I think that's why the odds makers are looking at this saying, this is still the same thing that we thought before. Scotty, Bryson. I mean, maybe Rory re-enters the mix, but Scotty, Bryson for sure.
Yeah, so Rory McIlroy hit a very bad chip from a green side and left himself about 40 feet. He hit a very, very good putt that nearly went down. It looks like he has a foot behind the cup. I don't even think he's going to mark it. Harry's going to pull the flag. It's about 1.2 inches, and Rory is going to tap it in for bogey. He is going to finish at 1 over, and that's a little. Oh man, it's tough, Greg. He was 4 under for the day through 10 holes. He was in it at 10. That kind of got away from him a little bit.
It got away from him. And it could have gotten away from him worse. I mean, if you saw what happened at 13, he hit a really nice shot into the middle of the green, catches the ridge, rolls off the green. He's now in that extremely tightly mown approach area, short-sided over a bunker, and nips it perfectly. He gets up and down there and then birdies the next 2 holes. But the short miss at 17, he'll rue for sure. The 3-putt, air quotes 3-putt at 11, he'll rue for sure. I think 12 was probably a poorly managed second shot after that tee shot. He needed to get that right of the flag. So look, those are just little mistakes that add up. You take the bogeys away, he played himself right back into the mix of this tournament. But now he's going to be like Xander, hoping to make up ground for a top 10.
Yeah, the good news is, like you said, it's playing a stroke and a half over par, and there are 65s and 64s potentially out there to make up some room, and maybe you get out early and get a good draw. Last thing, just as this final group tees off here, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Greg, but Paul is asking what I think about Quail as a host site and Charlotte as a host city. So I've not gotten into like downtown Charlotte or anything, but the area is beautiful. Quail is a very cool golf course. I like it. I don't love the idea of using the same golf course that we always see for a major championship. We could talk about that another day. The one thing I want to get your thoughts on are the fans, Greg. Does it look like there's a lot of people out here, or does it look like there's not a lot of people out here?
There's a lot of scenes I've seen with not a lot of people out here. Now, looking at 18 right now, it looks like there's a fair amount. Does it look like the amount I'd expect to see with Scotty Scheffler on the 18th green? I don't know. But I don't know what it was like earlier in the day, because I could see if it's sweltering hot like it's been for you, I could see some people getting out of there early, calling it a day early on a Friday with so much heat and no wind. I don't know if that plays a role.
I I will give them a break because it's hot. But I mean, there's a lot of people leaving out of here at 2:00, which is, listen, it's hot. It's nasty out here. I just don't feel like there's been. I don't think I've heard a single roar this week. Like, not from anywhere.
Is it the? Where was it? I heard one area of the golf course. Maybe it was at 13 or 14
Maybe.
When they all hit it in the bunker on 14. There was a little bit of a roar that I noticed. But you're right. It hasn't had that feel. I wonder if it's because of the leaderboard or because of the heat or something along those lines. But tell you, Scotty Scheffler's still right there in the mix. I'd hang around to see that if I was in Charlotte.
Yeah, I would too. So I hopefully it gets better on the weekend, but it has not been very loud here. It's been quite quiet. Victor Hovland made a birdie on 17, one of the very few birdies that were made on 17 today. And Patrick was like, "Oh, birdie for Victor." And I was like, "Are you sure that was a birdie?" Because they gave it like 3 people gave it like a courtesy clap. There's no way that's a birdie celebration. And it was. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Hopefully the weekend kind of kicks it up and gives us some of those big time crowd moments is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think it will. I think we're going to see this tournament change a little bit. Not as much as I thought yesterday. A lot of these guys held on. A lot of the players who don't have a lot of experience really held on. Great to see Scotty in the mix. Great to see Max in the mix. Those guys are fan favorites. You got Fitzy now in there too, who's a major champion. He could help the turnout on the weekend. And don't forget about Bryson. So very easily we could have Scotty, Bryson, Homa, Fitzpatrick right there in the mix. And this tournament looks a whole lot different.
Well, just about half the field getting cut basically as we speak tonight. And we've got a lot of golf to be played before we crown a PGA champion with some good names lurking and some popular names in the mix as well. We'll be back on Saturday night. We'll be back on Sunday night to get you everything you need for this week. For now, big thanks to everybody, Patrick and Armina and Mark and Greg DuCharme right there. I'm Rick Gehman. This has been The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.